Yeah, we're going over this guy today. So hello and yes, welcome back to another album review, guys. Now then, yeah, it's time to continue on with my series of Phil Collins reviews. And yeah, for those of you who haven't checked out the first two reviews of Phil Collins, the links will be in the description. And that is To Face Value and No Jacket Required. And we are going in chronological order for Phil Collins. So we've done his first two, so it's time for his third album, and that is No Jacket Required. So then in this album review, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a bit of information on the album. We're going to go over each track individually, mark each track individually out of 10, show you my copy of the vinyl record. We mark the artwork of the album out of 10 as well. And we're going to take all of the scores I've given it, add them up, divide it by the total number of scores given, which will give us an overall marking for this album out of 10. But we're not done there, because then what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the album ranking board, place it on the album ranking board and see where it ranks compared to other albums I've reviewed here on this channel. That is a mouthful. I know a lot of you probably get really bored when I say that, because I say it in every album review now. So, but anyway, that's for the newcomers, those who haven't seen my reviews before. So as you can tell, there is a lot to go over. So without further ado, we better get started. So then, information on the album. This is Phil Collins' third studio album, of course released after Face Value, and then Hello I Must Be Going. Released on the 15th of February 1985, and this album just basically blew up. It hit number 1 in the UK, number 1 in the US, got Album of the Year the following year in 1986, was instantly a loved album. Everyone really enjoyed it. It's a much more happy, upbeat album than his previous two albums. It was a much more simple album, and yeah, it's generally just one of them feel-good albums. Now, my opinion of this album is, being around in the 80s when this album came out, I could imagine myself playing this a lot, really enjoying this album. However, there are two different sounds in the 80s, I feel, and I love the 80s sounds. I love everything, really, from the 80s. It's a great period for music. You have some really classic 80s sound with some really cool, creative, pop synthesizers. You have kind of the oldie artists still putting out some good records, like some of my personal favourites, like Paul McCartney and Eric Clapton. Then you have the 80s sound, which I'm not the biggest fan of, where it's really simple, not much happens in the songs, it's very chorus driven, it's very repetitive style of music. And unfortunately for me, this is one of them albums. I like this album, I do. However, I know that some people adore this album, and it really is one of the classics of the 80s. For me, I think over time, the faults in this album have started to show more, and yeah, I think the album does sound quite dated now for an 80s album, and yeah, this is definitely not, in my opinion, Phil's best work, even though a lot of people seem to think it is. And I think the reason a lot of people seem to think this is Phil's best album is because it's got a massive hit single on Sussudio, which everyone knows. The album hit number 1 everywhere. And the album got Album of the Year in 1986. And of course, that's great. I think this album deserved all that. Back in 1985 and 86, it's like, yeah, this would have been a fantastic album. But as times moved on and as music's moved on, this album's faults have started to show a lot more through time. So anyway, the album was, as I say, very highly received, but generally over time it has actually got more negative reviews on it and whatnot. The lyrics on this album, the last two Phil albums, there was quite a lot of details going on the lyrics. This song lyrically is nowhere near to the standards of the previous two albums. It's just a very fun, upbeat album, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a complaint. Basically, Phil had this drum machine, which, another thing which I'm not a big fan on this album, Phil is a drummer, he's a great drummer. Why he's using a drum machine for most of these tracks, I don't know. But anyway, he was using this drum machine, and he would basically just make up these lyrics over the top of the drum machine. So really, this album is all layered on top of this drum machine. He'd come up with these beats on this drumming thing, and he would basically create the songs on top of that beat which he created. The album does have a lot of guest singers on it. It has Helen Terry, Peter Gabriel, and Sting. And yeah, anyway, it has 10 tracks on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 tracks, I was right. 10 tracks on this album, so let's get started. So the opening track, of course, is Sussudio, which has already been mentioned, and as we all know, that it's a very popular, very well-liked song. And I do like this song. The lyrics were improvised again over this drum beat. Starts with a cool drum beat. I really do like it, actually, you know, the do, 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 do. Again, you can tell, though, really, it's not a real drum kit there. It would have been better, I think, if Phil created these, you know, that's how he started the basis of this album on this drumming machine. But I think it'd be good if he then took them drums out and added real drums over the top, because it would have sounded better, there's no doubt. You know, you can hear it. It's like, yeah, it's a cool beat, but a proper drum kit or a different style of drum kit probably would have made that song sound a bit better there on the intro. But anyway, it has good vocals on it, and it's a catchy beat. However, you know, the song itself is fun, I really like it, but the studio bit, you know, it's like, you know, it runs its course. You know, the song, I like the song, I do, but I can't hear it too many times in a go, because, you know, I can imagine after about 3 listens, the song would get annoying. But it's not a bad song, I quite like it, it's good. I'm going to give that track a 7 out of 10. Then we get the track Only You and I Know. This is a much more faster track. You can tell Phil was going for a really kind of rocky pop song here. And I love the keyboard work on it throughout this track. The keyboards are just incredible. Again, good vocals from Phil. I love the chorus on this one, really good. It's a fun song, but again, it gets... the tune itself, it's very in your face. It's doesn't want to calm down. It doesn't want to show any signs of adjusting. It's very in your face, this song, and a bit repetitive after a while. Again, I have this same issue with a lot of tracks on here. The songs really are repetitive on this album. And by the time you get to the end of this song, even though you enjoy it, you're like, that was a good song, you are also thinking, but I am so ready for the next track. So again, not a bad song, but I can't give it a huge score. I'm going to give this track a 7 out of 10 as well. Then we get a track called Long, Long Way to Go. And this one, the lyrics have a bit of a political message in this one, but again, I'm not going to get into that because there's not really too much to go into really on it. But might the slower song, reminded me of In the Air Tonight really a bit. Sounds kind of similar at the start with the slow drums and the echo effects. But really nice vocals, maybe the best vocals on the album really. Phil's always got great vocals. I know some people say his vocals are a bit repetitive and a bit annoying, and I completely disagree there. It's like, you know, I think that is generally down to the songs. You know, it's the songs' fault that they get a bit repetitive and a bit annoying, especially on this album, I feel. But Phil's vocals are always high class. They're always really good. So, I think great vocal performance on this track. Probably the best vocal performance on the album. It's between this and the last track, I think, on vocal performance. Or maybe One More Night. But yeah, it's a decent song, but it doesn't do anything is the problem. I like the beat, I do, but you need something in there to break it up, to give it a bit more character and a bit more energy. And the song doesn't offer us any of that. It just goes at this pace, where it just doesn't change, it doesn't do anything. It's like it would have been nice for him to, you know, if it was on the drum machine or whatever, or if he would actually get on the drum kit, it would be great to actually have like a nice drumming solo in this song or something, like In the Air Tonight. That's why In the Air Tonight is quite a good song really, because that song stays at a steady pace. But then it levels it up at the end with the cool drum beat. That's what this song needed. It needed a bit more depth. But really, in all fairness, the song, it is a good song. I don't want to sound too negative, but by the end of it, you are a bit bored. So yeah, I'm going to have to give this track a 6 out of 10. And then we get I Don't Wanna Know. And this is a more upbeat track again, with a very, pop-driven feel again. Very Sussudio-ish. Again, we're going back to Sussudio-ish style. The song has a fun chorus, but by the second time you get to it, it's... the thing is, the choruses on this album come in really quick. It's like, we've had previous Phil albums where he actually does a lot of build-up to get there. And I think that works better, because it's a better payoff, really. Whereas, he's just constantly dipping in and out of them on this album. And he hits them so quick on this track, and then he goes straight back into them again. So I love the chorus, it's great. The fact that he goes there so much, and he goes there so quick, again, you get bored of it. It's just another one of them kind of songs on this album where it just generally gets a bit annoying. And it's a good song, but by the end of it, you are so ready for it to be over. It's, anyway, I'm going to give this track a 6 out of 10. And then closing side 1, we get my favourite track on side 1, One More Night, which, again, is... The song generally doesn't do too much. It has a bit more depth to it. It has a bit more layers on it, I think. But this is just a beautiful song. I've grown up listening to this song. Whenever my dad's not a massive Phil Collins fan, but whenever my dad rarely put his Phil Collins CD on, I always remember enjoying this song a lot as a kid. Another improvised song here on the drum machine. It's come from that, same as Sussudio. But this one here, the vocals are just great. The chorus is just so good when he's singing the line, One More Night. And as I say, that might also be one of the best vocal performances on this album, when he hits that line, One More Night. I love the doubling on the vocals. This song is a lot more well-constructed, better produced. I have to give this song quite a high score, because I just love it. This track's going to get an 8 out of 10. But anyway, before we move on to side 2, you're going to have to excuse me, you're going to have a quick drink. Okay, so then, side 2, equal number of tracks here. We get Don't Lose My Number. Oh, okay, this song. I'm not a fan of this track, really. This one was actually written during Face Value, and... the lyrics on this one don't really have that much depth to them compared to other tracks on Face Value, so I find it hard to believe that it was written during those times. But anyway, the lyrics are about a man named Billy, who the singer is hoping to find, kind of. It's like he's singing about how he wants to find this guy, Billy. And, yeah, it's heavy. It has a really heavy drum beat to it again, I think. Which I really like. The vocals are a bit different from Phil. So all in all, it's actually quite a good song. I think the lyrics here have more depth than other lyrics on this album. The drum beat's cool. Phil's vocals are a bit different. Not his best vocal performance, but they're different. Gives the album a bit more of an edge. So it's going really good. But generally, again, the song is so bloody repetitive. Where it's like he's just recorded a minute, and then he's going, okay, times that by 4, you just hear it on a loop kind of thing. And by the end of this song, I can't lie, when I put this song on, it starts off really good. I'm like, yeah, I'm enjoying this. And then literally only a minute into it, I'm like, okay, skip. It does get very boring fast, this track, and a tad annoying as well. So I'm only going to give this track a 5 out of 10. Then we get a track called Who Said I Would, and this feels very similar to Sussudio. It's like he's literally just taken... I don't know what it is, this song just sounds very similar, with very subtle differences to make the song its own, I guess. Again, the vocals are good, but the beat is very repetitive. It's an okay song, but again, it's a bit boring, this one. It doesn't do too much for me. I'm going to give this track a bit higher because I do feel it's better than Don't Lose My Number. But, yeah, it's not great, so I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. But then the album picks up. I really think this album ends on a great note here because the last 3 tracks I can actually speak a lot more positively about. Because the last 3 tracks are actually some of my favourite ones on here. Doesn't Anybody Stay Together Anymore is the next track. This one has a really cool drum beat. With good keyboard works laid on over the top, which really back up the drum beat really well. It's like the drum beat doesn't sound so forced in and in your face. Here it's actually working with the other instruments almost to give it a much better sound. I love how the song slows down for parts as well, like during the verses and whatnot. And it's great. I love how it does that, because all these other songs, they don't quiet down for the verse. They are just exactly the same. You know, they're going at exactly the same speed. They're just as loud when they hit the choruses and the verses on other songs. It's like, how are you meant to tell them apart, really? Well, you can tell them apart because Phil's just singing one line over and over again in the chorus normally. But, you know, this song actually has a lot more depth to it. And there's a lot more effort gone into making this song, I think. I'm going to give this track an 8 out of 10. I do like this song. It's a good song. Then we got Inside Out. Another more creative one. Almost the same. I mean, no, when I say almost the same, I mean the same formula that's gone into making Doesn't Anybody Stay Together Anymore. It has different styles to it throughout the chorus and the verses, and then it kind of levels out a bit. I like it when it slows down for the verse. As I say, it's got a fun tone to it. And yeah, I like this song. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. And we get the track Take Me Home. And this one's a bit of a mixed bag for me. But overall, I am going to say I do like this song quite a lot. And, I mean, it has that annoying tune running throughout it, which sounds like something from the Nintendo Wii menu or Mario Kart, when you're waiting to get into a game can't start yet because not everything's loaded up, and you've got that really annoying tune there playing. That's really what that tune sounds like. It's going throughout the whole of this song. You know, you're waiting to start Mario Kart, you're waiting for the Nintendo Wii to start working, you've got that annoying tune. It's kind of what that tune sounds like. But anyway, that doesn't matter because the vocals on this are great. Lyrics are good. The song itself goes on a bit too long, I feel. It does go on a bit too long. I don't have nothing against long songs, but they have to work well. And generally, not many tracks on this album are long song standards. They couldn't hold up that long at all. But the chorus is so damn brilliant. When he sings the actual lines, Take Me Home, the added vocals, it just sounds phenomenal. It sounds really good. I love the vocals on this. The chorus for this song is brilliant. It's a shame that the rest of the song kind of doesn't hold up as well, but the chorus is fantastic. So I'm going to give that track a 7 out of 10. And yeah, that's it. That's all the songs there. So, overall opinion, because I know this is going to be a bit of, you know, not everyone's going to agree with me here, because some people really love this album. And I feel that the people who love this album, the people who I've seen really stick up for this album, because I've seen quite a few people stick up for this album now, generally the ones who have grown up with it. I think if I was in that position, I'd feel the same. But the fact I haven't grown up with it, and music has moved on a lot since 1986 or 85 even. I keep thinking 86 because that's when it got its award. The fact that music has moved on, the album generally does sound, to my ears, dated from the 80s. It has a very... It has a very simple tone to it. And, you know, I think the album is good. If you go in with an open mind, you're just going to hear something fun, simple. You'll enjoy this album. But if you want something more, it generally is not the best listen. So I will say this. For its time, I'm pleased the album done well. It deserved it. For its time, this is a classic of the 80s. It is definitely one of the highlights of the 80s. It's what moulded that sound in the 80s. But looking at it today, I would say it definitely has become a bit of an overrated album. Because people look at Phil Collins and they go, No Jacket Required, that's the album to go to. It's like, no, not really. I think that these two albums here that followed are really the Phil albums to go to. But anyway, let's have a look at the album artworks. We also have to mark that out of 10. So I actually do like the artwork on this album. I'm pleased he kept the kind of face, you know, for some reason he puts his face on them all, and then he kind of messed it up with Dance Into the Light. But anyway, so yeah, I like that. Back cover, not much to it, but at least you can see the tracks, unlike Face Value. He's giving us an inner sleeve, which is nice. This is a German pressing, actually. This is my original British. It's my remastered one from 2015, or was it 16 that one come out? I got a feeling it was 16. But anyway, and here is the record label for this one. As I say, German press, and not really the best copy to show you, I guess. But anyway, you guys get the picture. You get a nice inner sleeve there. Some lyrics and some information. Nice picture of Phil there. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And you can go through the tracks on the back here and look at who was on each track. For example, you know, One More Night, you actually have Sting on that one. Just trying to find out which one Peter Gabriel was on here, because I'm quite a big Peter Gabriel fan. Take Me Home, I had a feeling he was on that one. And that one also has Helen Terry on as well. And Sting, they're all on that one. It's probably why Take Me Home is actually so catchy on the chorus, because you got, well, 4 great voices going at it there. So, yeah, I'm going to give the artwork a 7 out of 10. So anyway, I've added up all those scores. It's 11 scores and divided them by 11. And out of 10, this album is going to get a 6.7. So now what we've got to do is we've got to head over to the album ranking board, put it on there and see where it ranks. So then here he is with a 6.7. So then 6.7, he's going to go just here. And I'm going to put him right next to Hello I Must Be Going, which scored a 6.6. So there he goes, right there. You can see that one a mile off, really. And as you can see, we got Hello I Must Be Going right next door on a 6.6. And Face Value is actually a little bit further down on a 5.7. So it has managed to beat out a few albums. It's beat out his previous 2 albums. 33 and a Third, Electro Light Orchestra's debut album, Steve Winwood's debut album, Wings Wildlife, The Who Face Dances, John Lennon and Yoko Ono Sometime in New York City, and Fleetwood Mac Behind the Mask. However, definitely not one of the best albums I've reviewed here on this channel, but still not one of the worst, so not a bad place. So yes, that is it for this album review, guys. Now then, I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's going to be a bit of a mix. I know some people really enjoy this album, and I respect that. I'm pleased that people enjoy this album. So to the people who enjoy this album, keep enjoying it. It is a fun album. I can't take that away from it. It is definitely worth picking up. I'd recommend it to people. Because when you get in that 80s mood, you want to hear some great 80s music. Yeah, this is definitely one of the ones to go to, that's for sure. So anyway, as I say, that's it for this review. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Please hit the subscribe button, like the video and leave a message. And I'll see you guys next time for another video.